Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's doing great. I'm not going to be on here long. I did want to come and discuss some issues. Uh, do we think Donald Trump is going to jail on Tuesday? Uh, this is for allegedly uh, lying about his affair with Stormy Daniels and end up paying hush money because she was a porn star, allegedly. So all this is allegedly, uh, but I do want to listen at some of the comments that are being made, and then I'm gonna come back and give my point of view. So it's two different clips I want to play. So we'll see how that goes. This is one Michael Cohen's, who was Donald Trump former attorney, and he the one paid Stormy Daniels for her silence. Let me see if I can get it to play.
CBS News investigative reporter Graham Cates has been following this story and joins us now outside the Manhattan DA's office. So what do we know about Cohen's testimony, and how damaging does it appear to be for former President Trump?
He's really the key player other than Trump himself in this transaction, and that he's the one who set it up. And he's actually the one who made the $130,000 payment to the adult film star Stormy Daniels. So the fact that he was a willing with this investigation, meeting with the district attorney nearly 24 times, and then testifying before the grand jury for 5 hours over the course of 2 days means that this is really big trouble for Donald Trump. And his own legal team members of his legal team have acknowledged that to me as well. They're aware that there's trouble coming.
And Stormy Daniels herself met with investigators from the Manhattan DA's office on Wednesday. What came out of that meeting?
Right, so that was a Zoom meeting. What we know is basically that her attorney said that she told the prosecutors she's willing to cooperate, she's willing to appear as a witness before the grand jury if she's called to do so. There's no indication that she actually will do that. But now what we know is that here's really 2 out of, let's say, 3 or 4 of the main characters in this incident from 2016 saying they're willing to meet and talk to prosecutors and cooperate against former President Donald Trump.
Former President Trump, though, has rejected the Manhattan DA's invitation to testify before the grand jury. So then what's next in this case?
In New York, when the target of a probe gets that kind of invitation, it usually indicates that this is really nearing its close. And so again, members of his legal team have told me they are expecting an indictment, and that's typically what happens after that stage. But we don't know that for certain, and we're all just kind of waiting to see if that is indeed what happens.
Democrats and Republicans alike watching this very closely. Graham Cates, thank you.
All right.
Keep your eyes on the road.
All right. So that's one of the videos that I wanted to share. And then I had another one, and then I'm going to come back and speak on it. Let me see if I can get this one up and going.
Indictment. Agencies looking at this, several taking steps in case an indictment comes down. Now, who's involved? Well, it shows that authorities are eyeing this possibility, and it's in New York rather than, say, Georgia. The agencies include people and police that protect the New York court buildings, the NYPD, and then this. Look at this. Most interestingly, the U.S. Secret Service is involved in these preparations. They, of course, protect former presidents no matter what's happening, including if there's an arrest, a booking, charge. So they're discussing these plans. All of this is a response to the reports we've seen, like that New York Times bombshell about a likely indictment. And it's a response to the way Trump's team also has publicly prepared for charges. They're attacking the DA. Now, Donald Trump's lawyer telling NBC Trump will follow any normal procedures if they get to the point of surrendering to the authorities. A statement is there will be, quote, no standoff at Mar-a-Lago. But here's what this news means. The U.S. government is preparing for the possibility of the first ever indictment of a former president, a step that wasn't even taken after the accusations that removed Richard Nixon from office. He was saved by a controversial pardon. This news, I want to be clear with you tonight, it does not mean that these agencies I mentioned, including the Secret Service, have some inside track or scoop or leak about what will happen. It looks much more like, well, this is just on the table. And here's the thing. Unlike other countries, the U.S. doesn't have experience with the prospect of trying a former leader. The U.S. doesn't have that experience in government, which may be why some prosecutors have blinked. That's something we've discussed. But the U.S. public doesn't have this experience either. The practice of holding a trial and peacefully respecting its outcome. Now, we've seen other countries of Peru and Germany face down these problems. And while no example may be perfect, they have that experience. So tonight you have the authorities bracing for whatever may come at a time of rising political violence, including that attack on the Democratic speaker's husband. And some of that violence is coming more from right-wing allies of Trump than from the other side. And Trump himself has fanned the flames with attacks on the FBI and law enforcement in other recent probes. So this is the real world environment. This is part of what's happening tonight. As I mentioned, headlines about agencies preparing for this doesn't mean this is going to happen. It doesn't mean they know what this or any other prosecutor will do, but it does mean we are in this place. Prosecutors are supposed to also face down any intimidation. They're not supposed to pay attention to the culture or climate of violence that I mentioned. Meanwhile, in a separate probe, not the New York one where I told you we were hearing about NYPD and others being ready for anything that comes, in a separate one, you have Jack Smith assessing how Trump's own team contradicted his lies about voter fraud. Virtually none of the stories we heard about dead people voting ever panned out. There is a report that came from Trump's side actually before the insurrection. Donald Trump was continuing, however, to lie to state officials, which is part of a potential conspiracy, and lie about dead voters as part of his pretext to demand that those local officials join him in a coup.
So dead people voted, and I think the number is in the close to 5,000 people. And they went to obituaries, they went to all sorts of methods to come up with an accurate number, and a minimum is close to about 5,000 voters.
That's false. That call was on tape. Meanwhile, this week, another call exposed with Trump demanding a different Georgia official help overthrow the election. Part of the many strands of a conspiracy that could be chargeable in Georgia, even as authorities prepare for potential charges in a whole different jurisdiction of New York.
Angie's List is now Angie, and it's easier than ever to get your projects done right. With Angie, you can connect with top pros and see ratings and reviews. And when you book and pay through Angie, you're covered by our happiness guarantee. Check out Angie.com today. Angie, and done.
We want to bring in someone who knows all about exactly these kind of cases and these trade-offs. The former Manhattan Assistant District Attorney, Rebecca Roiphe, and NYU law professor.
Wait a minute. For some reason, I can't cut this off. What is going on? Bear with me. This is crazy. Haven't had this thing before. Okay, well, I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm trying to cut it off. Maybe it'll cut off in a second. But I want it to go over because okay. more or less, there are a number of charges they can come back and charge Donald Trump with. Besides this, they are trying to indict him, and there are several different cases that Donald Trump can be indicted on, which means Donald Trump would be the first president, ex-president, uh, to face criminal charges and possibly be indicted. I don't know why my screen is freezing up for some reason. Well, part of it is. And it's not letting me. Uh, what I also learned, so I'm going to go on. What I also learned that law enforcement agents from Manhattan said that Trump lawyers said that he would give up and I guess go ahead and go to jail if that happens on Tuesday. Donald Trump is 76. Uh, the main thing that they're talking about now is the payments to Stormy Daniels that he lied about. And he gave Michael Cohen's cash money to pay her. I think it was a check done as well that he signed off on and said they were legal fees. But in reality, they was not legal fees. They was hush money payments. And this was when he was trying to become president. At that time, Stormy Daniels, she was a porn star. She was 27 when they met, and he was 60. Uh, and it was during the time that his wife uh, had recently gave birth to their son. Melania had just given birth to their son, and he out here cheating uh, with a porn star, allegedly. And there was another young lady that came forth. I think they paid her $150,000, and she was a an actress. And this was in 2016, allegedly, when all of this took place. But when he started running for president, there are things that he had to reveal. And I think that's where the biggest problem came in when he had to reveal certain things. Now, what I'm also hearing, if Donald Trump uh, is indicted, that he is asking for people to protest, which means it could be a mess on Tuesday if Donald Trump is indicted. But I think they're going to be more prepared than it was at the Capitol when the riot took place. My thing is, and it's just word of advice, if you're going to protest, be careful. Don't go to jail. Don't go out here fighting and killing people or beating people up for Donald Trump. And then you find yourself in jail because that's what's going to happen. And it's too many people has went to jail because behind Donald Trump. It's just been way too many people going to jail behind Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not going to get you out of jail. So I say be mindful and be careful. Do not go out here getting in trouble and then you're sitting in jail. Donald Trump is not coming to get you out of jail. And depending on what you do, you could be faced with a lot of time. And that's no way to live. Technically, you don't know Donald Trump, whether you voted for him or not. Um, and he's playing on people's mental state to go out here and do something that will cost them time in jail. And is it worth it? No. Do not give up your freedom for Donald Trump. It's not worth it. It's political. Uh, he's not going to get you out of any trouble. He's not going to pay for your lawyer fees. So be mindful of that. Is it worth it? To me, no. Uh, there may be a lot of protests around the country on Tuesday. I say be careful. If he is indicted, what could happen? Hopefully it won't, but at least I would say be prepared uh, before you go out here and do something that could cost you your freedom or could cost you your life. So I'm just saying be mindful of that. And that's what I wanted to bring to you today. I'm not going to go into what really happened, what led to the indictment, uh, because that would take up a lot more time. But what I will say is that Donald Trump would be the first ex-president to ever be indicted for criminal charges. And he's still planning on getting out of jail, so because somebody's going to get him out, and still running for election. Um, how that's going to play out, I don't know how that's going to play out. I do know I don't feel like he should be able to run for president, but I guess that's my opinion. Um, we'll see what happens. I just say be mindful, and I'm going to leave it there for now. I may come back and do part two, which is go over the timeline as what led to Donald Trump lying about the hush money payment. As far as the timeline, it's when he met Stormy Daniels. Um, and go over what led up to all of this. But I do know that they met in Los Angeles. Okay, this was, I can go over some of it. When he first met Stormy Daniels. And what led up to him really getting indicted because he lied about it. It was lies instead of just being honest. But I guess he didn't want anybody to know that he was with a porn star. And she was saying, I'm going to tell if you don't pay me. And then that's allegedly she wanted money. And that's what he ended up, the attorney negotiated with her. Donald Trump didn't, but the attorney did, Michael Cohen's. And he spoke on it on many occasions. But she was saying that she had first met Donald Trump, the star of NBC hit show, on The Apprentice, at a celebration golf tournament at Lake Tahoe in Nevada. She said he invited her to dinner, and she met him at his hotel suite where they had sex. He later invited her to a Trump Baca luncheon party in California, as well as his office at Trump Tower in New York. So this is where she's saying she met Donald Trump. He was going to try, this was in 2006. He was going to try and get her on The Apprentice, but that did not pan out. He told her, I mean, they didn't want her on Celebrity Apprentice. That was when, that was his hit show before he became president. And I think what had happened that Stormy Daniels did an interview to the magazine where she was trying to get $15,000, which she didn't get. But that's when she started. That was when Michael Cohen, who is Donald Trump's attorney, threatened to sue if they publish that article. So Daniels never got paid, evidently. The article was not published. But then they threatened to, Daniels said later on that week that a man threatened to hurt her in Los Angeles. I mean, in Las Vegas, excuse me, and told her to leave Trump alone and forget the story. So she was threatened, which means she probably is still being threatened. Karen McDouglas, an actress, formerly, she was a Playboy model, and she was trying to sell her story as well, where she had an affair with Trump in 2006 and 2007. She retained an attorney, Keith Davidson, who approached the National Enquirer about a possible deal. And I think in July, that's when Trump was nominated for president. So he was, you know, he got two women that was coming after him for money. The National Enquirer secured the rights to McDonald's account for $150,000, but never published her story. And that was a tactic known as catch and kill. Federal prosecutor later said that the agreement was meant to suppress her story and to prevent it from coming out during the election. Cohen's reached an agreement with her attorney and the CEO of National Enquirers. This is where I think they came up with an agreement to pay her $125,000, and that was to keep her quiet. Daniels was negotiated $130,000 in exchange for the rights to her story and a non-disclosure agreement. And so I think there was a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes, but Cohen's did wire her the money. Donald Trump lied and said, I think that's what really messed him up, is when he lied and said that as if he didn't know who they was. So both women ain't lying on him. I mean, that's what you have to believe, that both women are lying. And then the attorney ended up going to jail for lying for Trump. But all of this came out after Donald Trump became president. So I think they were trying to pay and keep it on the down low. But allegedly, it all came out right after he became president. Everything, all these stories just start coming out. So Donald Trump has to pay for his crime. If he did do the crime, I feel like he should pay for his crime, because if he don't, that's telling America that there's two justice systems, which means if you got money, it's a justice system that you don't have to go to jail for your crimes, and you can keep committing crimes. And you don't have to go to jail. But if you're poor, you do have to go to jail. And that's not right. Everybody should be treated the same. Justice should be one justice system, which is for everybody. So if Trump is indicted Tuesday for his crime, then I feel like it is what it is. But we'll see what happens. And I just say be mindful and be careful, and don't go to jail for Donald Trump, because he's not going to get you out of jail. It's not worth it. Save yourself. Save yourself from legal fees, because nobody has money to pay for a crime. And you out here committing a crime for him, and he's asking people to protest, and I don't think that's right. Many people that get in trouble, they don't ask people to go and protest for them. So why is he he's even different? He's not God. He's human just like you. He put his pants on just like you, one leg at a time. And if he did something wrong and they want to indict him, he should be indicted. He did do the crime. So why are people out here protesting and going to jail for him, and think he's going to pay and get you out of jail or pay for your attorney fees? That's not going to happen. So why give up your freedom for him? He has no clue who you are, and he's definitely not going to help you out. If he'll turn on his own lawyer, he'll turn on you too. If he'll turn on his own ex-president, vice president, he'll turn on you too. And that's something you just have to sit back and think about before you go out here and commit a crime that may cost you your freedom. I'm going to leave it right there. Have a great day. Leave me your comments, your opinions. I do value your opinions. And so I would like that. And if you like what I have, subscribe to my channel. Hit the notification so you'll know when I come back with another case. Thank you. Have a great day. Oh my goodness.